How have you expressed your expectations when entering into a relationship clean in your current into a relationship clean in your current and past relationships? How have you expressed your expectations when entering into a relationship? I don't know what the part clean meant, but I'm a very communicative girly. I thrive through verbal expression, and I think that in general, I just try my, or not even, okay, I just have things that I want. And I just say them all the time. Which actually I've learned can be a problem. This is a random tangent. To individuals who don't know how to take up space, when you do take up space, those people will shrink, and that's not great for them. That is a them problem, but also I try to be considerate of it now. Like, I didn't understand that notion until I got a little bit older, but the idea that I've just always kind of had this idea that, well, I'm gonna say what I want because you can also say what you want. We can all just say what we want, but not everybody, you know, has that instinct. And so now when I try to express what I want, I go, what do you want? Which, like, you just learn it as you get, you learn it when you grow up a little bit and you have friends and yada yada. But anyways, when it comes to relationships and stuff, I got a lot of Mercury in my chart, if we're gonna be really, my Virgo, yeah, and I'm a Virgo, Gemini. Anyways, I'm very communicative. Like, if I want something, I'm gonna tell you. If you hurt me in some way, I'm gonna tell you. If you disappointed me, I'm gonna tell you. But I'm also like, I try my best to let you know that I also love you and I value the effort that you put in, yada yada. But it's like, it's just, I just say it. I just say my expectations, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm trying to think if that answer felt so vague, like I felt so bad, like I don't know what else to say. A really good way to express what you like and need in a relationship is to actually focus on the positive, because a lot of individuals, if you tell them what you don't like, or unless you do like the sandwich method, can get defensive. Even if you communicate it really well, because it's hard, you're with your partner, you want to make them happy, yada yada. So it's like, actually sometimes it's good to just do positive reinforcement. When you have a dog and they do something you like and you press the clicker and you give them a treat. Now, I don't mean like that, but more so if someone that you're with does the thing that you really like, I think it's always a good thing to like really let them know. Truly, like, and same thing with vice versa. Like, I love when people give me positive affirmation. So let's say, like, in any relationship I've been in, if the individual I'm with does something, I go like, oh my gosh, I loved when you did that. Like, I felt so loved when, like, I just do, I try obviously not to focus on the negative, but I think it's good to just point out the positive and be like, you made me feel so loved when you did this, or you take such good care of me because XYZ. Like, I love that. But I don't know. You can be honest and open to do those things with an aspect of kindness too. I also prefer to communicate and let my partner or even close friend know how I am feeling. Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you ever feel like you and John have different life maturity levels? Yes. I'm gonna say so. You have lock in. 2 days ago, John and I are in a car, and I was just talking about how I've been very happy lately. I was like, I have been so happy in this relationship with you, and part of me is like, I like side-eyed him. I was like, is it because you're basically unemployed? I'm like, is it because you don't have anything to do but really hang out with me? Like you've been doting on me, you know? I'm like, and he's like, no, I've thought about it. He was like, I definitely think that my battery, my energy levels is like 100%. I'm able to do a lot of the things that Jodi, like you would normally invite me to, and I would say no. And I'm like, yeah. And so that makes me really happy because John just was like, streaming, it can take over your life. And so I felt that, like I would be like, John, you want to get dinner tonight? He's like, I can't, I'm tired. Often. So I'm like, okay, well, I've been really pumped lately because like we've been able to go out to dinner, or we've been able to randomly do this adventure. Like we went and saw the meteor shower. I don't think John 6 months ago would have said yes to that. So I'm like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm just on cloud 9. And I was like telling him, I was like, I'm kind of scared. Like, you're gonna go back to streaming, and I want you to. Obviously, I want you to work. I want you to achieve all of your dreams. And he's like, no, yeah, I'm obviously thinking about the bandwidth that I give and how I spend my energy. And instead of like 110% to one thing, is there a world where I can put eggs in all baskets kind of thing? Okay. So John was like, I totally get it. And he's like, but ultimately, I think we've got this. And then he brought up Valorant. And he said, I know that we'll be together and we're good together because we played Valorant duos at a high rank. He's like, we're like top 1% of Valorant. And if we can do that, like that means that we have the skills. He's like saying this so for real too. He's like, we have the intelligence, the teamwork, the dynamic that you need. And I'm like, and he's saying, oh, what did he say? It was like, oh, I want to like say verbatim, but it was like, you have a different solution to things, Jodi, than I do, but they both work, and we both trust each other with that solution. So I would my problem solving and his problem solving, we both get to point B just in different ways. And he's like, and we do that in life. And so when I'm tired, I know I can rely on you because I know that you will get me to point B, and I trust that. And when you're tired, you can trust me because I'll get you to point B, just in a different way. And then on the days that we're both not tired, we come together and like make magic. He's like, and I know if we do that in Valorant, but we do it in real life too. He's like, we're just compatible. I'm like, this game is gonna follow us forever. Like, we cannot escape this. But anyways, bro's gonna propose by saying, do you want to be my permanent duo? I would run away. I would turn around and no. I wrote a formula for relationships using pseudo programming code language. I have gained good insight on relationships. That sounded like an AI. That sentence wasn't real. But who am I? We just talked. I just compared my relationship to Valorant. Considering actually John did, but anyways. But who will you follow when you are both tired and have a different way of doing things? Doesn't happen. If he mentioned Valorant as a wedding vows, no chance. No chance. And before Reyna dressed in Omen suit, oh, there will be no chance. No chance. Find a gamer boyfriend, then complain he doesn't do a normie proposal. I don't think John would do no. Well, gaming isn't his like personality. Like, it is, but it isn't. Like, that's like when John asked me out. It was so cute. It was hella normie, but it was cute. He like picked me up from the airport and there's a sign in the back seat and he was too nervous to hold it up at the actual airport, but I had my name on it and on the back because he was gonna be like the guy, like the chauffeur, having my name on the sign, and then he was gonna turn it around when I saw it and it said, will you go out with me? But then he got shy, so he did it in the car. But that's really cute. Like that's normally as fuck and it's cute. God, I wish there was a crash course for men. My best advice for you is to I don't really know, because John did the same thing. A lot of guys do. Okay, it's like, I'm gonna try to give you this crash course. Generally, this feels or is like, it's the territory of there is logic and there is emotion. Both are super valid. Both, like, these two can be the same thing. Ow, there's something like, these two can be right at the same time. Both of these things can be right at the same time. Generally, what I've run into when I get in these like endless loop arguments with guys is that logic beats emotion, but girls are on the other side where they understand that emotion is just as valuable as logic. And we're just coming together and being like, yeah, that's logically true. It still hurt my feelings. Okay. So I don't know if that helps, but John, when he talked about this during the OTV Truth or Drink, he was basically like, I just asked myself and started to really sit down and be like, well, what if Jodi is right? That was his verbiage. I think what John, like, if I was to expand on that, means like, what if these two things were true at the same time? Like, what does it look like to validate her feelings? And it is true. Can you give an example? Okay, the classic example is you said something that hurt my feelings, but you didn't mean to hurt my feelings. Okay, logically is like, well, I know that you didn't mean to. I know your intentions, so it shouldn't hurt my feelings. But it doesn't matter because you still hurt my feelings. Sometimes all you need to do is just take accountability, acknowledge, apologize, and be like, oh yeah, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. It's hard to give also specific examples because this can apply to so many things. But yeah, I also think just giving yourself like if your girlfriend doesn't feel safe to approach you, it's generally because you aren't taking the thing that she's saying well. But obviously I don't know your guys' dynamic. Like it could be really, but generally it's because she's coming to you. You're saying, well, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't mean to do that. But you're not acknowledging how it was hard for her in that situation too. It's like sometimes, or at least for me, the greatest thing that I can do or need in that moment is I just need someone to acknowledge how hard it was for me in that moment. Be like, hey, you're right. I did do that. I didn't mean to, but that probably really sucked for you. Like that probably sucked for you. And I'm sorry for being the cause of that. And it's like, that's all I needed. It's like less about the apology and more about the acknowledgement of how it affected me. Because we all know logically where we are. We know what's up. But the emotions just need a little hug. You know? I think it's generally like this idea that one logic is better or higher than emotion. And I don't know where that came from, but I think they're just both equally as important. And together, they're great. Logically, it's not on purpose, but emotionally, even though you know it's not on purpose, nonetheless, you feel hurt. I at least want to feel validated in that feeling, or feelings are seen, even though they may have originally come from the place of miscommunication. Yeah, it's like, the thing is, if you have to understand that I know it's not on purpose. If it was on purpose, we wouldn't be together. Because you're a piece of shit. Invalidating on multiple fronts. I'm like, well, I know you didn't mean to do it. Because if you did it on purpose, then you're a freak. But I'm with you because I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Now I need you to come over to my side and be like, hey, yeah, I did that thing. I didn't mean to. That probably sucked for you. Like, oh yeah, how did that make you feel? But I don't know how to, like, I'm on the other side. I feel like you guys got to ask a man about this. You got to ask John. because I can only give my side. Like, I don't really know either. I don't know what it feels like. John was saying that he was watching the Pirate Software Dr. K episode, and I haven't seen it, but he was just like, holy shit, this could have been me if I like went down that lane. Like, he's like, I see it, but I actually like switched to the train pathways. And he's like, Jade Heart. And I'm so glad that I did, because he's like, I think a lot of guys are kind of like this, where it's the logic is more important than everything. But I haven't watched it, so I'm just like trying to speak verbatim, but this is a while ago that I talked about it. But maybe if you're a guy, you could watch that and maybe watch it with me with more of like a constructive criticism viewpoint. I'm not sure though. I haven't watched it, but maybe it could help. I don't know. Logic doesn't mean it is inaccurate, right? It's just a way of understanding things. Exactly. Like, both emotions are telling you a thing in the same way that logic is telling you a thing. Like, emotions guide you all of the time. And yeah. I don't like the dichotomy of logic and emotion. Emotion is often just logic. Someone doesn't have the words to express known unknowns. I only say I agree. I think that the thing is, they are always intertwined. And I don't know why emotion became this separate entity and one that is less valuable. I really don't know where that came from, but I also really understand it. Like, I feel like I grew up in a household where it was like logic overall. But once I started validating my own feelings, then you bring in logic, and I think I've just been happier ever since. I guess I gotta drop that ego and be wrong because I care about how she felt. There's a lot to unpack in that sentence. Yes, when you are in a relationship, if you are 1v1ing, you will go nowhere, because you are viewing this fight as a 1v1. But what's actually, I think, the best way to be in a relationship, handle any conflict, is that you are actually 2v1ing this thing. You are two, and you are 2v1ing the problem. And until you stop 1v1ing, it's going to be really hard, because you're coming from a thing of like, I'm right, you're wrong, but it's generally not that. It's more like you should view this thing as an entity, whatever the fuck you're going through, and it's you two against that thing. Because it's not right or wrong, and it's not about like, oh, I guess I'm just wrong, I need to validate your feelings. Because that's not what it is. That's not, or generally, like, especially if I was in that scenario, I'm like, well, you're not understanding it. It's not about being right or wrong. You're only apologizing to like move past this and be like, oh, I'm wrong. But like, no. Have you ever resented John, and how did you move past that resentment? Yes. And I moved past that resentment by, it took me a while to communicate it, but now that I was like, I guess I actually was suppressing my emotions because I felt really scared to approach John with that feeling, because John, that's a really scary thing for John to also feel, like my disappointment or whatever. And so it was a loop. I didn't want to make John feel bad, so I didn't tell him. But then I grew resentful, and then eventually I needed to tell him. But the way that I got over it was actually through him, because I told him how I felt and why I felt that way, and what I needed from him, which he gave me, was, hey, that must have been really hard for you. I put you through a really hard time. I'm sorry. Because it wasn't that I needed him, I just needed an acknowledgement of the moments that this happened. Because it wasn't like I just needed to be seen, you know, in the efforts, which built the resentment, so that I could also move on. Because I didn't want to hold the resentment either, you know. I just needed to do like a firm handshake of, that was hard for you. Yes, it was. Thank you for the acknowledgement. And I'm done. When you show emotion, it's deemed as vulnerable, which is why I think a lot of men use logic more. It's a lot of ego stuff that they can't accept. I mean, I do get it. I also, like I say, whenever we have these conversations, it's hard being a woman, obviously. You guys know it. I know it. And it's hard to be a man for different reasons. I think about how hard it must be to suppress your emotions. It feels like at least it's minimum 20 years. Like, I feel like guys don't really unlock this. Obviously, some of them do. But I'm just like, holy shit, like, I have been given the space as a woman to comfortably express my emotions. Granted, it's also because of like the expectations that are put onto women to handle emotions and yada yada. But on the flip side, I have a lot of empathy, because even just like the men that are around me and in my life, I'm like, I see it in ways I don't want to say, like, don't take this in a belittling way. So something that I've just noticed in my friendships, and especially my close friendships, is when I ask a woman how she's feeling, what's up in her life, she's able to very clearly articulate that. She's able to tell me how she feels, how it affects her, and whatever. And when I ask a lot of my guy friends, they say, I don't know. And that is so interesting to me, because I've never been able to, I don't have that. If you were to ask me, generally, I think I can like give you even a pebble. Like, I could be like, I think I'm anxious. You know what I mean? Or like, I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling confused. But a lot of them answer and say, I don't know. And it's like, I'm like, they answered instinctively. They don't even, it's like, you're not even thinking. I'm like, okay, well, you could just take a moment and like sit with it, and then we could talk about it. But even when they sit with it, it feels like they genuinely do not know. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. You don't have this muscle, and you weren't given that space to do so growing up as a kid. Probably men don't cry, all that shit that's pushed onto you. And so you actually just don't have this muscle. And I notice it even with John. I'll be like, oh, how you feeling today? Or how did that make you feel? Huh? That, like, okay. It kind of feels like to me, when somebody answers that, it feels like a dead end. And so I can't imagine what it feels like for them, because I'm like, oh, this is a dead end. Like, I don't know how to help you. And so I'm just like, well, maybe we can like take some time, or like, where do you feel it in your body? What is the sensation? Is it spiky, sticky, like light? Like, you know what I mean? I like try to do that, but I don't know. Basically, this is if you're a man, I see you. I think it probably is really hard in the emotional department if it's not a muscle that you were given space to express. And now it's just literally second nature to not feel your emotions. And so when people ask you, you say, I don't know, because you actually genuinely don't fucking know, which is crazy. But hey, I implore you to take time to feel your feels. And you hear that all the time. But I think that it won't stick with you until you're ready to genuinely hear it, or deep dive into that, or like understand, have the epiphany of like, oh, I actually have to feel my feelings, which means letting them flow through you instead of suppressing it down. The more that you resist, the more they insist. I do think that's true though. The more that you resist an emotion, the more it will stick with you forever. Like, especially negative emotions, they'll just be in there somewhere causing problems. It's tough when it's your significant other and you want to be strong, or you don't want to worry them. Yeah, but also I think that I get that, but it's the loop. It's the cycle of, if I'm the partner, I want to help you. I have this muscle that I've trained my whole life. And if I can help you and we can be vulnerable together, and I can help you be like stronger through this, or I can help take some of this burden or stress off of you, I am happy, because as your partner, that like, I want to help. But I also totally understand, like, oh, I don't want to stress. But all that comes down to communication, where your partner can handle too.